The idea of the nuclear-powered car, compared to other ways of powering a car, is a relatively new one. In the late 1930s and early 1940s, scientists, due to recent advances in knowledge about radioactive decay, began to think about applications for their discoveries. In December 1945, John Wilson announced that he had created the first nuclear-powered car. With the reporters and even the Ministry of Fuel and Power having turned up, Mr. Wilson claimed that the car had been sabotaged. This was later proved to have been false, and that the car didn't exist. Despite the difficulty of protecting people from the radiation, designers and manufacturers continued to look into the idea for the next 2 decades, until in 1957, when theoretical nuclear-powered concept cars began to be revealed. Studebaker-Packard made Astral, which was a single-wheel, gyroscope-controlled, flying car. It wouldn't just fly, but in fact go into space, with a force field to protect occupants from crashes and radiation, so the company claimed. The purpose of the concept was to attract customers and keep the name of the company in the American public's imagination. Unsurprisingly, no working example was ever made, but in 1957, in order to show the public its ideas and enable the interior designers to gain experience in working with glass-reinforced plastic, the Astro was made. Revealed in 1958, it was shown in dealerships before being forgotten for 30 years in storage. It has since been restored and is on display in the Studebaker Museum. The Ford Nucleon would have been a steam-powered car, having taken inspiration from nuclear submarines. The steam would have been generated by uranium fission in the reactor, with the different versions for fuel efficiency and high-performance models. Ford believed that the car would be able to drive 8,000 kilometers, or 5,000 miles, before needing new uranium. While Ford built scale models of the car, the French car company Arbel provided ideas for the Symétrique, which would have run off radioactive wastewater, which would have to be replaced every 5 years. Another French car company to indulge in the fantasy of nuclear-powered cars was Simica. In 1959, it showed the world the Folger. It was supposed to be a representation of what cars in the year 2000 would look like, being controlled by a gyroscope and only having 2 wheels. One thing the Folger correctly predicted, although 22 years early, was voice controls and radar guidance. In 1962, Ford tried again with their nuclear-powered concept car, producing the Seattleite. It was 6-wheeled, and the nuclear reactor would produce electricity for the motors. Like the Folger, it did contain some features we see a lot of today, navigation and computer-aided information systems, but ultimately it would stay as a concept car. One rather odd feature was that the front of the car could be detached and replaced to make a smaller car for city traffic. Sadly, even if the problem of nuclear radiation was solved, the problem of public nuclear fear is becoming ever more prevalent, so I doubt there will be a nuclear-powered car anytime soon. Technically, nuclear-powered cars never existed, but there will always be a chapter in car design for them.